Hey guys, welcome back to Just Nuts here. Today we're looking at OGDOADIC and a lot of the very important kind of just like starter combos to kind of base the deck around. Because right now the way the deck kind of works is you just you use a lot of those base combos and then you look at what else is in your hand and you kind of follow certain lines depending on what else is in your hand for like extra extenders and stuff. But these base combos are going to be a great starting point to give you an idea of where the deck is, and then once you splash your other engines in, you can really start to mess around with it more and kind of like specialize your particular build. But yeah, got 5 combos to go through today. You're really focusing on Snake Rain as well as Reptilian Ramifications, because they are the 2 most impactful reptile cards we have at the moment. But yeah, let's get into it. There's a lot of cool combos to show off here. All right, so the first combo we're going to look at, or I guess couple of combos, is literally just going to be all different paths you can take, or a bunch of different paths that you can take using Snake Rain with any like horrible discard. And by horrible, I just mean a card that if you discard gives you no value whatsoever, and assuming everything else in your hand is null and void. So we're just going to show we can do it with this, because this is probably the single strongest card you can resolve in the deck. It gets you at least 2 interruptions with a plethora of follow-up, and yeah, so let's get into it. So the first one, obviously, we're starting off by activating the Snake Rain. You're going to see this same kind of dump off of Snake Rain almost every time here. We're going to start with Nunu. We're also going to dump Naoya. We're going to dump Curse, and for this one, we are actually going to be dumping Alert as well. So from here, what we want to do is we want to immediately use Nunu's effect in Grave, because he says if you have no monsters or an Ogdoadyc monster on your field, you can reborn him, but he will be banished. And he does, while he's on the field, lock you into reptiles. From that, though, we're going to immediately tribute him off. He'll get banished. Not a huge deal, though. For Curse's effect, Curse is going to come back, and then it's also going to reborn Naoya. Keep in mind, this will give your opponent the chance to reborn something if they have anything in Grave. But if we're looking at turn 1 stuff, like, it's not a huge deal. You can obviously think more about that when you're in the moment. But yeah, we're going to use Naoya's effect, and we're going to go ahead and search here. In this situation, because we're assuming we're just playing with Snake Rain here, we have nothing else in hand, we won't Water Lily. There are a lot of situations where the new continuous spell is really nice, but for this situation, we very much so want the Water Lily here. So I think from this position, I don't even think we worry about the reborn. I mean, I guess we could. No, it's not right. It's not right to do that. All right, so we're just going to fire off the Water Lily here. This is just going to send us our Night Sword Serpent. We can activate him immediately upon being sent. He's a new card, actually, a fairly new card. When he's just sent to the graveyard by card effect, he'll just reborn himself. Then we can take Naoya and the Night Sword Serpent, and we can overlay these 2 into our Rika Strenna. Really cool card. I go back and forth on wanting to play this package or not, but I think it does if you want to focus on a build that has the availability of like negation. So yeah. From here, we'll actually use Alert, tributing off the Rika Strenna. I know that seems weird because we just made her, but she's going to trigger because whenever she is tributed, she will summon a rank 5 or higher plant monster from extra deck and attach herself as material. So we'll get Hyperiton. We now have Monster Negation live, which is really great. And then from here, you just decide what you want to do. There's literally 2 things you can do from at least this point in this specific sequence of plays. Also, don't forget to put Nunu back in Grave for follow-up off of Alert's effect. And Alert as well, kind of like Curse, gives your opponent the ability to add any monster from their grave back to hand when he uses his effect here. Just be careful. If your opponent has anything that you're really scared of them adding back, you don't want to give them like too easy of a way into that. So just be careful on him. So yeah, you can either make a rank 8, which could be anything like a Hope Harbinger. I've been throwing around the idea of playing Lancelot, the rank 8 monster, as well. Or from here, yep, 2 bodies on the field. Why not just make Verte? Now, I think Verte is probably the correct play for modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Just because the value you get off of Verte is just insane in terms of, you know, you've got DP now, which is not only an interruption every single turn, but floats as well, and you're going to dump the 2 hero monsters, which then give you, you know, potential draws as well as extension from the hand on later turns. So I think this is probably the better way to do it, but if you want to go for that rank 8 play, like, feel free. There's no harm in going for that play. Okay, so this next combo is actually going to be focused on getting out our main deck boss monster aside, right beside DPE. So we are going to start with a pretty similar Snake Rain. We're going to obviously Snake Rain, pitching the driver from hand, and we are going to go ahead and pitch at least these three are the same, and I believe we also want alert still. Does it really matter? Really doesn't matter. I'm actually going to pitch Night Sword Serpent. No. I don't think it really matters all that much. I don't think it matters either way. So actually, we're going to keep it with alert. I don't think this really makes a difference. Okay, so from here, we are actually going to use our Nunu effect as per normal, bring him back from grave. We just saw all this first like set of sequences right just before. We're going to go Curse, tributing the Nunu. He gets banished to revive itself and Nalia. We then will use Nalia's effect to search. We'll grab ourselves a Water Lily. Where's that Water Lily? Where did I put it? All right, then from here, we are going to, let's see, what do I want to do with this? I'm going to go bloop, bloop to bloop. Yeah. All right, so we're going to go alert, tributing Nalia to bring itself back, and then put these two back in graveyard. That's actually extremely important, because then from here, we can make our Verte, and that gives us exactly 4 monsters engrave different reptile names to make our Water Lily act as Foolish Burial as well as Reborn, which means it might as well just say summon any reptile from the deck. It's kind of crazy. So we're going to fire this first because we don't want to lock ourselves with the Verte play first. So we'll send Ogdo Abyss and then immediately Reborn him. And then we will go ahead and use our DPE, or summon out the DPE using Verte. So what's really cool here is we have just like awesome removal effects here. And so before the end phase, what you actually want to do is DPE killing itself and the Verte. I mean, I guess technically you could leave the Verte up if you want, but I like clearing it. It would be destroyed anyway on the end phase from the Fusion Destiny effect, but that's fine. Or technically Verte copying the effect, but clearing the Verte Anaconda is probably right. But what happens here is that Ogdo Abyss is board wipe. He wipes every monster on the field that wasn't summoned from the grave. Well, DP has now been summoned from the grave, so you can fire this first. You can sequence these in either way you want to, without even having to worry about clearing the other, which is really good. So just mass removal, just non-targeting, non-destruction, send all monsters your opponent controls, as well as a quick pop with the DP, and he'll obviously float. You'll probably have 2 more draws coming off of the Heroes Engrave, and it's all good. Like, I like that play is you're able to get Ogdo Abyss out just by that 1.5 card combo. Really sweet. All right, and the last 1.5 card combo with Snake Rain that I'm going to show you today is one that goes down a completely different line than all the others. We're not going for DPE, we're not going for Ogdo Abyss, we're not going for Hyperiton, we're not going for a rank 8 play. None of those things are here. We're actually going for the alien side of things, which is an insanely like crazy win condition. So obviously, again, we're going to start with the Snake Rain, but this one I think has to look a little bit different here. I don't think Alert offers us much value, so you send the 3 main ones, Nunu, Nalia, and Curse, and then the 4th one is actually going to be our Night Sword Serpent. Really important here because I think we need this last body to make everything happen. So Night Sword Serpent is going to trigger first. He's going to summon himself from the graveyard. And then we're going to use Curse because technically we can't use Nunu right here. It's one of the downsides of Nunu. I always thought that Nunu said if you control no monsters or a reptile, it could come back. But unfortunately, it has to be an OGDOADIC specifically. But we'll still get to him. Don't worry. We're going to use Curse, tributing the Night Sword. The only downside here is that Night Sword does get banished because he isn't going to be used as Exceed material. Obviously, we're going to do the standard thing and Reborn Nalia as well and get her effect to search. We're still grabbing Water Lily here. Nothing too crazy there. We're going to go Nunu effect to Reborn, and we need to overlay Nunu and Nalia for a little bit of King of the Feral Imps action. This is very, very important. This is going to add reptiles to the grave because you need this Reborn effect off of Water Lily while also getting us another extender. Really, really good. Doesn't really matter what you detach here, to be honest. So we're just going to detach Nunu, and we're going to go ahead and search ourselves a Reptilian Codal. From here, we're just going to immediately special summon the Reptilian Codal. We're going to take Curse and Codal into a link 2. This is going to be our Alien Shock Trooper M-Frame. This is really important. We want to get him in grave because we want to get the rest of our stuff set up. And we're already almost there, which is really cool. So then we take our Codal and our King of the Feral Imps into our Cosmic Slicer, Zerol. A really cool card. On summon, he's going to let us search any card with an effect that places 8 counters. So we're going to go ahead and grab Planet Pollutant Virus off of this guy. This card is incredibly good. If you don't know what it does, it says tribute an alien monster, then destroy all monsters your opponent controls that do not have an 8 counter on them, which is nothing at first if we don't actively put anything on there. Then, after this card resolves, until the end of your opponent's 3rd turn after this card's activation, you put an A counter on every monster they summon. Well, Zerol has a continuous effect that also says any monster your opponent controls with an A counter will be switched to defense position, and while it has an A counter on it, it cannot activate its effects. Very, very good, and also it doesn't have to be switched to defense mode to not be able to activate its effects. So even a Link monster still can't activate effects. Really, really crazy. You'll see how it like all comes together here, because we finish up by using Ogdoadic Water Lily. We're going to go ahead and send another monster here. Like literally the send doesn't matter here. We have already used Sword Serpent, so it's like there's no crazy value you get off of him. So we can just send Ogdo Abyss technically here. You could reborn the Ogdo Abyss, but it doesn't really do anything because we wouldn't have an alien for our Planet Pollutant Virus. So we need to be reborning our Shock Trooper here. Just keep him in the far zone just because. And now we have Ogdo Abyss Engrave if we can get a reborn effect going later on. There you go. You're going to set your Planet Pollutant Virus and you're going to say pass turn. That way on the opponent's turn, once they put enough stuff on the field that you think you're ready to Raigeki them, we're going to tribute the Shock Trooper to then wipe their whole board of all their monsters. Then every monster they summon from that point on will get an A counter by default, and Zerol will negate and swap them to defense mode, making him very, very annoying to out. They have to have something like a Chalice or an Imperm or something like that really to handle him. One other thing to note with this board is that you can technically have an extra little, an extra little interruption here. If you have any monsters in hand after you've done this combo, you can use Shock Trooper's quick effect to discard a monster to put A counters on monsters your opponent controls, up to the number of level of the monster you discarded, and then obviously while we have Zerol on the field, those will be negated. Now, usually, depending on the kind of deck your opponent will be playing, they may try and pivot to like a Link, link off those monsters that you negated or synchro them off or whatever. And if they do, then they've cleared all the monsters again and they'll have new stuff that doesn't have A counters. Then you can fire the Planet Pollutant Virus. But most of the time, you're just going to shotgun it. But that is something to make note of like if you think you need that, if you think it's going to work out for you, I think like that actually could be pretty good with the M-frame effect. So yeah, really, really cool. That's probably my favorite of the combos for just the Snake Rain stuff. But I think they all come up if a certain deck. It's what I like is that all these M boards are like so pivotal. Like you can really be flexible with what you can do. If you think like a deck can kind of play through negation pretty well with chain blocking and whatnot, but maybe they can't handle removal, that's where you go for the DPE or the and the Ogdo Abyss play. Or maybe they can't handle negation, so you do something where you either go for Zerol, or if they don't really lose to on-field negation, maybe you go for Hyperiton plus a rank 8, like, you know what I mean, like, what's his face, Lancelot, right? And just go for double negates and just say, beat that, I've got recursion in graveyard, you've got to beat double negates, and I've got follow-up. Like one of those things. So I really love how you can flex around your end boards, and I also love that this deck isn't making like end all be all can't break me boards, but they do make boards that are nice and also flash the importance of follow up. You've always got follow up next turn as long as you've got a bunch of reptiles in grave, which is really cool. All right, guys, next set of combos we're going to be looking at is actually going to be based around Reptilian Ramifications. This is the new Reptilian card we got, I believe, 2 core sets ago in Burst of Destiny. Really, really cool. This card lets you send any card from your hand to the graveyard to do 2 of 3 things. There's 3 effects on you, you pick 2 of them, you got to do 2 different ones. You can add a reptile monster from deck to hand, add a reptilian monster from deck to hand, a reptilian spell or trap from deck to hand, and you can change the attack of one monster your opponent controls to 0. That third effect actually can come up, but it doesn't come up all the time. So really good. So one thing that's important to note is Ramifications is not necessarily a starter. I would just call it more of a superior extender. You get like extremely far extension off of just this one card, but it doesn't start you because one of the best cards you could be searching is Reptilian Spawn. I actually don't have with me. We're going to be counting the proxy as that today as well. I ordered them online like literally 3 days ago, and they're actually a couple bucks because they haven't been reprinted in so long. But still, you'll see. All right, and it need to be so we're gonna act like the discard is horrible. Sci-frame driver doesn't do anything for us. We're gonna pretend that our discard does nothing, and then we need to pair it with an actual starter. So we're gonna say either Nunu or Nalia. You can get either of these outcomes that I'm gonna show you with either of these. So I'm gonna show you one with Nunu, one with Nalia, because they do take slightly different play lines the way you do them. So here we go. Starting off with the play here, we're gonna start with Ramifications first. We're going to go ahead and pitch our... Well, actually, you know what? I think it's probably better to shoot Nunu first, right? Yeah, I guess. If our opponent wants to Ash Nunu, then, like, we are stoked. So let's go ahead and pitch Nunu. We're going to use his effect, and we are going to attempt to send... we don't want Nalia, right? No, we don't. We actually... Sorry, I got to make sure I know where I'm at right now. We want Alert here, I believe. So from here, we are going to then use our Nunu effect to come back from grave. Again, if they want to hand trap us here, I guess that's better than not, because we are set up enough to actually be able to play through it with the Ramifications. So yeah, we're going to revive the Nunu, then we're going to fire Ramifications, see if we can bait out a hand trap anywhere in there. So we're going to pitch the driver, and we're going to add 2 different cards to our hand. We need a Codal, and we're going to add the Spawn. If you don't know what Reptilian Spawn does, it banishes a reptilian monster, not a reptile monster, a reptilian, from grave to summon 2 reptilian tokens. It's pretty good. I mean, it just, without even losing anything on your field, it's just 2 more bodies, as long as you can set up a reptile monster in a grave. I wish it was a reptile card, that way you could Ramifications for it and then immediately have access to it, but it is what it is. We still have pretty good access to everything. Okay, so from here, it is kind of unfortunate, but I do need to be normal summoning Codal here. I don't love this, but it is what it is. She needs a dark reptile on field. We only have access to a light at the moment. We could revive Alert, but then we don't have access to a rank 4 play, which is what we really want right now. So we need to make King of the Skull, or of the Feral Imps. We're going to go ahead and detach Codal. It has to be Codal because we need to put a Reptilian in grave for our spawn. And we will go ahead and search ourselves a Nalia. Now we can use Nalia's effect. This is going to be huge. Pitch Nalia, and we're going to also be able to send Curse here as well. This is so good. So this first combo, both these combos actually are going to go through the Cosmic Slicer line, which is really good. Okay, so from here we want to use Curse. No, we don't. Right? I guess it doesn't really matter. Okay, let's start by firing the Spawn. We'll banish the Codal in grave, and we will go ahead and summon our 2 tokens. I don't know, Mommy. I thought I had dice over here. Whatever. Hold on. I got you. All right. 2 Spawn tokens here. Boop, boop. And we're going to immediately link them off. It doesn't really matter too much because they immediately go away. We're going to make our M frame because we need to set that up. Then we're going to use our Curse in grave. And we're going to tribute the King of Feral Imps because we want to save this guy for max, the max ability to have link fodder. So we're going to summon Curse and the Nalia. We're then going to use Nalia's effect, and we're going to grab a spell. It has to be Water Lily. I'm sorry that we're not showing off the new card, but that card does come up. It just doesn't come up in like the simple 1 and 2 card combos, or 1.5, 2.5 card combos. All right. So now from here, it's very simple. Very, very simple, right? Isn't it? Isn't it very, very simple? I think it is. All right. From here, we'll take Nalia and our Shock Trooper M frame into our Slicer. Then we'll use Water Lily effect, and obviously now we have, oh wait, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we do have exactly 4 different named reptiles in grave, so we can actually send our Night Sword Serpent, which we have not used in this combo so far, to reborn our Shock Trooper. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't search off as a roll. Don't forget to search off as a roll. You get the Planet Pollutant Virus. And then Night Sword Serpent triggers in another chain link, reviving himself. Now, we have done nothing to lock ourselves into reptile stuff up to this point. We already have the Cosmic Slicer combo because we have the Alien, we have the Pollutant Virus, all we need for now. And now we have 2 bodies on the field. You can actually do one of 2 things here. We actually haven't used the Alert in our grave, so if you want, you could tribute Night Sword and make a rank 8. Or we can actually just take these 2 into, he'll be banished, into a Verte, and then into a DPE. So we'll show that off here just for the sake. I think this is probably better overall because we've already got negation. I think I'd prioritize like the removal on top of the negation. That way, if our opponent does think they can just make a beater and walk over as a roll, we'll have the DPE to defend in case of that. And of course, the extra recursion we get there as well. So really, really cool. I don't know, like, I think this is pretty powerful off of the 2.5 card combo. It's more powerful than just the Snake Rain. So all you need is really like any good starter. Nunu and Naya are ideal for the Ramifications play, but it just, the amount of extension you get, because you just get to search 3 bodies worth of extension in the form of the Spawn and the Codal. All right, guys, the last combo I'm going to show you with Reptilian Ramifications is very similar setup to last time, but I'm going to show you the variant in case you start with Naya instead of Nunu. Not too different there, but we are going to be ending on a lot more recursion, but without DPE this time. You'll see how that goes. So we're going to start by normal summoning Naya. Kind of weird, but yeah, we're going to normal summon it. And we're going to search OGDOADIC Flood or OGDOADIC Serpent Strike, whatever the name ends up being. That's the new card. If you don't know what it does, it has 2 main effects. The first effect says if you can send a monster from your hand or field to the graveyard, then target a reptile monster in grave with a different attribute than that monster, special summon it. Also, during the main phase, if a monster is sent to your opponent's graveyard, you can send a reptile monster from your deck to grave. Very useful. I love that on-field effect of just if your opponent ever sends something to grave, you just get a free Foolish Burial. Very, very good. That comes up all the time. And yeah, so we're going to be going for this specific line, just to show off the differences between going for this or the Water Lily. Okay, so from here, we're going to activate our Ramifications. If we get Ashed, Veilered, Impermed, whatever on Naya, it's actually good. We can actually play through that pretty well. But we're going to Ramifications here, pitching the driver. We're going to grab Codal, and again, Reptilian Spawn. I'm sorry that I have double proxies. I'll try and be clear on which ones I'm using when, so it doesn't get too confusing. All right, so from here, we need to special summon our Reptilian Codal. Naya is actually dark, so there's no confliction there with that we would see with Nunu. So we'll go ahead and make King of the Feral Imps, and we'll actually discard or detach our Codal, because we need to get that engraved to search ourselves a little boy named Light Serpent. I really was hoping that Dangerous Uchinoko would have synergy here with this, but unfortunately it doesn't, because it needs to be discarded, and OGDOADIC Serpent Strike says you have to send a monster, unfortunately, but still, we'll be fine. Also, oh, I didn't even mention this. Okay, just to backtrack a little bit, I would just activate your Serpent Strike as soon as you add it to hand, because now if we get hand trapped at any point past that point, we're going to get an extra free send, which gives us an extra free body, and that's actually huge. So, just activate it as soon as you can, because then it's going to deter your opponent from even wanting to hand trap you in the first place, or you get to punish them if they do. So we're going to King the Feral Imps here. We search the Light Serpent. Now we've got our Reptilian Spawn here. We'll banish our Codal from grave, and we'll get our 2 tokens. But they won't be sticking around for long. We're actually going to link them off immediately here into Reptilian Echidna. Kind of a weird one. Kind of weird, but that's okay. Don't worry too much about it. From here, we are going to activate our... No, we don't want to activate it yet. We're going to actually link off first. We need to link up into our Cosmic Slicer Zerol. Then we're going to activate his effect, and we're going to grab the trap card. Don't forget to grab the trap card. Then we are going to use the effect here, being able to... Oh, wait. Oh, that is awkward, huh? Yeah, I don't love it, but all right, whatever. We're going to pitch the Light Serpent from hand to go ahead and revive Echidna, because she is dark and Light Serpent is obviously light. And then Light Serpent can trigger from grave to go ahead and revive himself. Pretty good. I mean, I don't know. It's pretty good. The one awkward part here is I would have loved to have already been able to make the alien shock trooper, but because it's light and Light Serpent's the only monster we could be sending here, because this is cost, this isn't by effect, unfortunately, so we couldn't have just searched the Night Sword Serpent, unfortunately. We have to kind of do it this way. It's kind of a shame, but yeah. But from here, I mean, you could just take these and go ahead and make ourselves the Shock Trooper just to make our trap live, and then we set it and we're good to go. I mean, it's nothing too crazy, you know, but it works, right? And that's all we're really looking for at this point. In the follow-up here. So the main difference here as far as this board and the last one that we have with DP, and I think the other one's overall better, but this one we do end with Flood on the board, which means we have a recurable like Monster Reborn every single turn and a Foolish Burial. We're probably going to get a Foolish Burial on our opponent's turn, and then we might even get another one on our next turn as well. We might have even got one in the middle of this combo to get an extra body out there, which meant we might have even potentially be able to keep the Echidna and would have linked off the other two. And just been like safe from having to lose that body anyway. But it all worked out at the end of the day. I think this is a pretty good combo. I came up with these myself, like literally the last like 2 or 3 days I've kind of been labbing this. They may not be 100% perfect, but I feel like this is a good place to start, a good place to build on, and then build around. You start with these combos and then you build the deck around supporting these combos, making them more consistent, making them more resilient. And I think we're in a good place so far. So that's going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, let me know in the comment section down below if you want to see more OGDOADIC stuff, whether it's the profile that I have. It's kind of crazy. Right now, I'm like literally at like 56 cards in the main, I think. I have a lot stuffed in here. But honestly, the test hand's been pretty consistent. I'm not even going to lie. So, yeah, that coming soon, as well as potentially test hands if you guys want to see them. That's up to you, though. But I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more OGDOADIC stuff down the line. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.